All right, welcome back, everyone, for storm coverage part 2 here on this Thursday night. Got through round 1 there without too many issues here across the area, but starting to see this next round now start to pick up here. And there's really just a couple of storms to watch out for, but these ones are quite impressive. At least one of them is here in particular. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of southern Macon, northern Shelby, and a lot of Moultrie County here. There is a pretty impressive hail core on this storm right now, which has prompted us to kind of hop in here. We were kind of thinking that things would stay quiet enough here as we head on to our 9, but this storm has really caught our attention. This one's impressive, probably the most impressive storm of the night as far as the hail size in this, the reflectivity. This one is warned for 2-inch hail. So we're talking egg-size hail, perhaps upwards of that as well. And that's kind of what you're seeing here with the high reflectivity values of some of these white dots in the core of the storm, or at least some of that pink as well. So we're keeping an eye out for this. This is heading towards Bethany, Sullivan, eventually out there towards Allenville, may just kind of scrape the southern side of Lovington. So yeah, that's what this storm is up to. And this one, again, just kind of formed really quickly. It was just another innocent looking storm we're keeping an eye out for. And then it just really expanded that core to the point where, yes, it could be producing 2-inch hail. The winds aren't that bad in it. They're saying 50 miles an hour or less. So that's not the concern with it. But the concern is this large hail that may be dropping down here inside this storm. Let me see if I can find any sort of estimates here on some of my other products. I have the radar over here showing maybe 2.25-inch hail. So we're starting to see things maybe increase here a little bit in this storm, despite the fact that the most recent scan maybe doesn't have quite the same concentrated area. But this is still a storm that we need to watch out for here. It's definitely one of the more impressive ones of this evening. So, yes, if you are in the path of this thing, heading on into, again, Bethany, Sullivan, Lovington, just be prepared. You might hear some really loud thuds on the roof of your house. And if you've got a car outside, and if you're in Sullivan, someplace like that, if you're not too far away from the house, maybe bring it in. Hopefully there's not too much lightning out ahead of this thing. I don't want to tell you to go outside where there's some lightning, but hopefully you've got the car in the garage no matter what, because there could be some pretty nice size hail here falling within the storm as it tracks a little bit to the east. Let's see what we are seeing with the speed here of the storm motion. So we've got motion east at 50 miles an hour. So this, again, has the same kind of pace to it that we've seen with a lot of the storms here through the night tonight. And again, max wind gusts are less than 50 miles an hour here with that one. I did just see one person say in the comments that they got a weather call alert that said 70-mile-an-hour gust. I believe the weather call is set up to where it will tell you when a storm has reached that considerable tag, which is either 2-inch hail or 70-mile-an-hour gusts. We're on that 2-inch hail side of things there, so that might be why you heard both. It's actually just one of those two. Sometimes it can be both, but this one, just that 2-inch hail. So that might be why you heard kind of both there, and why there may have been just a little bit of confusion here with that. Another storm behind it across parts of Christian County. This one a little larger in nature, but not seeing the same kind of centralized core with that one. That one's still sub-severe as well. But places like Taylorville, Morrisonville getting in on that action. Maybe some heavy rain and some frequent thunder and lightning as well. Eventually, as this thing marches to the east, we could be talking about a situation where maybe north side of Mattoon or maybe a place like Humboldt might be in the path of this thing here. We'll see how well it maintains itself. Again, we'll have to wait a couple of scans here to see how this progresses in strength as it moves off to the south and east, to the east mainly, but very so slightly to the south. We'll see if that hail threat maintains itself or if it starts to lower here a little bit. But this could be eventually a problem downstream in a place like Mattoon or Charleston. So we'll keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and get our Mattoon camera in position here. We'll have it facing north and west to make sure that we are good to go with that one. We got a pretty nice light show, actually, looking north and west of town here from our camera. So I'm going to go ahead and toss that up and let you guys kind of see what's happening out there. We'll put that right here. Toss that in there, and we will switch there to full screen. So again, we're looking north and west here. This camera, I believe, is at the top of the lift building there in Mattoon. So that's along Charleston Avenue near the junction of Lakeland Boulevard and Charleston Avenue. So that's where this vantage point is from, looking off to the north and west. So we're going to see some lightning out that direction here as that storm does its thing. Again, not an imminent problem here for Mattoon Charleston, but we'll have to keep an eye on it as it moves this direction. Potentially 2-inch hail. That's what it's warned for. So again, size of an egg, definitely over the size of golf balls here within this storm. So certainly something that has our attention. But we'll see what this does here as it continues to move along. Also, just want to note here. Sorry, reading something there real quick. Just also want to note the fact that this stream might get slightly interrupted here as our 9 o'clock newscast is approaching on WCIA-3 We're going to go on with that as planned here. But obviously this storm is worth following, worth watching here a little bit. We still got Jacob out there in the storm tracker. The hope is as we get closer to 9 o'clock here, just get a couple of things settled over here at the Weather Center so that we can get forward with that show. But maybe Jacob can kind of walk you through some of the things that he's seeing. He's got his radar out there, and he'll hopefully be able to keep an eye on things here during the part of the newscast where I can't be doing much here with the stream on the microphone. So we will see how that works. We'll see how his connection kind of holds up here, but we've got you covered. We'll at least keep the radar picture up here as we go throughout this. But if you want real-time analysis of what's going on out there, again, X49 is the place to be there to catch that live coverage when that becomes when it hits 9 o'clock here and we head that direction. So a lot of people just kind of hopping on now, seeing this second stream and wondering what's happening right now to have prompted this. We've really just got one storm that's really catching our attention at the moment. Again, this one in Christian County could be doing some stuff here before too long as well. But this one heading towards much of Moultrie County right now, again, right towards the Sullivan area, has been warned for 2-inch diameter hail. It looks like in the recent scans, there's not as much. In fact, it doesn't look like there's any of those white colors dotted within that core. Doesn't mean it's not still a strong storm. It is. When you have those pinks, that's when you know you've got a pretty intense one, but maybe not to the same scale that it was there at one point in time. Let's see if we can throw on our hail size tracker here and just kind of see what it's estimating. Again, reminding everyone that this usually will underguess it sometimes from what's inside, or at least underguess the maximum size. It's saying 1 inch. I think it's probably more than that. I think it's probably that golf ball size, ping pong ball size, at least that 1.5 range. So again, helpful tool for kind of seeing how things are comparatively, but I think it may be underestimating that one here just a little bit. So yeah, continuing to monitor that situation. But elsewhere, yeah, there's a couple of showers and storms starting to form, especially up there along the I-55 region, places like Livingston County, McLean County, Logan County, maybe kind of getting some your second storms of the day up that direction, but nothing that looks overly concerning here too far. And we don't think there's going to be too much concerning activity here through the night, but this storm that we have right now is a perfect example of the fact that even though we don't have the surface-based instability anymore, these elevated storms are still capable of this large hail. The hail happens inside the storm, way up there within some of the stronger parts of it, and not at the surface. So just because we cut off the surface doesn't mean we've cut off access to the rest of the storm. That's where that hail is. That's why we still have a threat like this, despite the fact that it might be 50-some degrees over there in Sullivan right now, and you're going to get some hail possible here soon as well. All right, checking the comments here. Addison says, power flickered in Sullivan. As this storm moves on through, we might really get some rumbling here before too long. Hopefully you can kind of keep your power, but this is a rather strong storm. Maybe not quite the same level it was at one point, but even still, this one is one of the more kind of put together ones we've had here through the night. So this one's going to rock things around here a little bit. We throw some lightning on the picture as well. You can see a handful of lightning bolts there. So this one providing some electricity as well, like we saw from that Mattoon camera. So real big heads up here to Sullivan right now. You were just minutes away from getting in on that action. Maybe it'll just kind of graze you with a little bit of rain there in Lovington, but you're still probably going to get a lot of thunder and a pretty nice light show there to your south. We've got Kelsey in Taylorville saying here it's lightning and thunder and some rain. So sounds like pretty standard stuff out that way. But there was enough there to now prompt a second severe thunderstorm warning with lots of downstream warning. That is for that Christian County storm that is now going to push into northwestern Shelby County. So places in the line of this include Assumption, Pana, Tower Hill, Shelbyville, and eventually Findlay down the line as well. Again, that is a way down the line warning, but it is giving you plenty of time here to prepare for what is being warned as 60-mile-an-hour gusts and quarter-size hail. So we are going to track that one for you as well as it moves here into more parts of our area. And that's will continue to be a threat here as these storms don't really look like they're losing too much strength, maybe not as strong as they were at one point in time, but there is going to be, again, lots of rumbling, lots of thunder and lightning here with these storms and potentially that hail threat to them as well. So out there in Sullivan, anybody out there in Sullivan? I know we had a couple of people that are kind of giving us a couple of reports out that way. Be prepared here for a pretty strong storm to head your direction and everything that is to come with that. I'm going to try to get to Jacob here in just a moment. Jacob, your connection is just a tiny bit glitchy still. I'm going to give it maybe 30 seconds or so to hopefully clear on up. Just a note, it's been that way for the last handful of minutes. So as far as what we're going to do here as we approach 9, I'll see how your connection is. I think we'll be able to still manage stuff here from the studio. But again, I'm going to let your connection maybe clear up here just a little bit because it's just a little scratchier on the audio side of things than I think we would like here. So I'll give that just a minute or two, and hopefully we can hear from him here soon. All right, it is 8:50 here now, and we've got a couple of severe warned storms here in Central Illinois. Again, one right over there in Moultrie County right now, and another one that is on its way out of Christian County here before too long, across Route 51, eventually into Shelby County as well. A lot of these storms, again, kind of just very isolated in nature, but they are going to bring that hail threat with them here throughout the night. So we will continue to watch out for that. Oh, let's see here. I got to make sure that I've got some stuff ready to go here for my 9 o'clock as well. So just bear with me here while I try to multitask just a tiny bit. Can you do me a favor, Brandon, since you're here in the room with me? Can you let Gunnar know that can we kill the hail video to start the 9 and just do pod stuff over here since we have a couple active storms? Just tell them restructure forecast first so we can cover a couple of these here from a spot where I can control things. So just kill the hail video at the top. That'd be great. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. So that is helpful there with making sure we get this 9 o'clock figured out here. Again, if you are able to watch WCIA-49, we will be over there here in about 8 minutes or so. We'll continue to cover some of these storms over there, as well as kind of have our normal newscast. I'll try my best to have some sort of hybrid thing here on the stream where you're able to see what's going on here in some of these storms, and I may be able to leave a couple comments across the bottom, and then we'll have, of course, that main forecast where we're able to see everything that we're tracking here with that. Okay. So that storm looks to be getting right through Sullivan here right now. Again, up to 2-inch in diameter hail that way. They may have adjusted this warning. Let's see. So now it's for ping pong ball size hail. So not quite that 2-inch mark. It doesn't have that considerable tag on it anymore, but still an impactful storm. You're still going to feel it there in Sullivan, and maybe, again, hear some loud bumps on the roof. Maybe hear it on some objects outside as golf ball size hail. It's about 1 3/4 of an inch. So still some pretty impactful stuff. Plus the stuff heading through Taylorville right now. Nothing warned on these as far as strong wind gusts go. They are all, I guess this Taylorville or this Christian County storm is around that 60-mile-an-hour gust range. So that one maybe bringing a little bit more of a wind threat to it. But that's one in Moultrie County, just primarily a hail threat. So let's see. Let's check back in on that Mattoon camera. We're going to see quite a bit of lightning out there as we look to the north and west, as this is a rather electric storm. So we are watching here from Mattoon as this eventually could become a situation there at some point in time where the storm gets out here to the Mattoon area or so. So we're just kind of watching it here from a distance for the moment, but maybe that will change here as the storm marches off to the east. We'll kind of angle our camera a little bit here, give us a little bit more of a northwest view since that's where it looks like that lightning is mainly popping up at. So we'll get that moved around here. Again, we are approaching our 9 o'clock newscast, so I may slow things down here in just a moment to allow us to have that transition period where I can kind of get the stream tailored a little bit more to allow you guys to see and still follow along with things here. Let me get to my right radar picture here. But again, hunker down if you're in parts of Moultrie County, as that storm is right over the top of you right now. and eventually downstream of this Christian County storm. Again, places like Shelbyville, Pana, Assumption, another storm. In some cases, parts of northern Shelby County might get both of these storms. They had that first one as it moved on through, might get the action here with this second storm to the west as it moves through. I've got Tiffany here saying Taylorville lightning is a fireworks show right now. There's plenty of that lightning here, especially on this back storm here. There is lots of electricity here embedded within some of these storms. So pretty impressive stuff there. Not as much here in this other storm, but still it's got that hail threat that is continuing to be present right over the top of Sullivan right now. So it is 8:55. Keeping an eye here on our time frame. I'm starting to get a better picture with Jacob now. I'm not sure if he can still hear me because I don't hear him in my ear at the moment, but we'll see if we can get anything from him here in a moment. But again, approaching the 9 o'clock hour, these storms moving off to the east, eventually watching places like Mattoon, Humboldt here as it crosses I-57 into parts of Coles County. And then with this other storm heading into Shelby County, could impact parts of Shelbyville itself as it moves that way. Other than that, these other storms up here to the north and west, we'll kind of watch for perhaps similar activity, see what they evolve into and do here through the night. The thought is there's not as much anymore to tap into to allow them to reach these severe limits, but you could certainly hit that low end severe threshold, these 60-mile-an-hour gusts, these quarter-size hail types of setups. So we'll kind of see. There's lots of people asking their particular location, what's going to happen here. Again, just watch these storms. They're mainly moving off to the east. They got a little bit of a southern movement to them, but they're mainly moving off to the east here if we put that in motion. So again, heads up, maybe northwest part of Coles County. I think this is just going to go north of Mattoon. So Jacob just said in my ear, we've got a golf ball size hail report from Sullivan. That was just a moment ago. So that one living up to its warning there with at least 1.5 inch hail, if not right there between 1.5 and 2 inches. So this storm, again, living up to the strength that it was advertised as, just below that 2-inch mark, but going right over the top of Sullivan right now, probably getting rocked there. Anyone that's tuning in to watch us from Sullivan at the moment. And more people commenting from even Mattoon, just kind of watching the light show to the north and west. Places like Cooks Mills, Humboldt, be on the lookout for this storm. Maybe if you're kind of in the rural parts north of Mattoon, you'll have to watch out for this. I don't know for sure. It doesn't look like it's going to move right into town there, but we'll just kind of see how that one meanders around here. If it continues to march off to the east, looks like it will be just north of the Mattoon area, but we will see how that's one ultimately moves on through. Also downstream, like I said, Shelbyville, you might get a direct hit here from this next storm that is moving on through. Same for parts of Assumption and maybe out there towards Tower Hill as well. Just be ready for some strong winds with that storm, as well as perhaps some smaller hail, but still quarter size. Okay, I am going to get things adjusted here a little bit because we are about to go live for our 9 o'clock newscast. I'm probably going to mute myself here for just a moment to get this ready. But again, we'll kind of do a little hybrid setup here where we're still able to stream, but also carry out our newscast. So bear with me for just a moment while I get that stuff set up. Right at 9 o'clock, though, we should have audio back on here, at least at the start, and we'll go from there.
All right, and hey everyone, meteorologist Jacob Dickey here in the Storm Tracker while Seth is getting set. What we'll do is we're on the feed now, and so hopefully y'all can hear me. Seth is in the studio monitoring things, but if Seth is able to, during his forecast, take back over, and that'll be a way that he can check on in with us and continue to bring updates. So we'll kind of do that. So Seth, maybe you can take it at the top of the show, and then toss to me, and we don't have to, we can play some of the newscast too, but I'll just leave that up to you, whatever you decide there. So I'll be here in your microphone, Seth, and we'll go from there. So with that, Seth, I'll turn my mic off in your ear as well so you can hear the show, and we'll talk soon. Right now I am located in Newman, moving my way off to the west, I'm going to head towards Oakland, and the goal is to get down to check out these storms right here. I'm seeing some of the lightning. I did just get a report of some golf ball size hail in the Sullivan area. It seems like that storm has been trending downward a little bit, but maybe it was just dumping some of that large hail aloft at the time. That hail threat still could be quartered to golf ball as it works its way into the Coles County area. So you can see there is what we've got. We did have some ping pong ball size hail in Bethany and Mowequa from the storm. So we at least have a history of large hail. And it's moving off to the east now, approaching Coles County for the near term. Still have that warning as well behind it. This one basically is from Mowequa to Assumption down towards Pana. Could be some big hail in there, and we'll be continuing to keep an eye on that as it follows it. That'll be coming into Shelby County and could have some issues with that as things move along. Kind of widening out that view there, seeing additional storm development to the north and west, and that development is still capable of producing some hail. We could have some individual storms grow and take advantage of some of that elevated instability here. So that's why the severe threat does continue. In fact, the severe thunderstorm warning just got extended into Coles County, it appears. So that's going to be for areas from Mattoon, Charleston, Humboldt to the north there. Doesn't include anyone south of the airport, but it does include areas between Charleston and Oakland. Looks like to slip through the northern part of the county there. So we will be watching that closely as things roll along. We're going to keep that warning around. And again, this is a hail threat, so I think they're going to warn it for probably either $50 or ping pong ball size hail. Haven't had a lot of wind reports with these storms either, but we continue to see the storm working its way on through and move to the south and east. So Mattoon, Charleston, Humboldt, places like that. Got some of that hail that is sneaking on in. Looking here now, time is just after 9:01, and I continue to work my way in the direction to the west there. Let me just check things out real quick. Kind of listening to Seth as well to see if he's got anything there. But I'm going to make my way towards Oakland. I thought about going to the Interstate 57, but I'm going to sneak that direction instead and kind of monitor things here. Good news, if anyone's watching, there is no threat of tornadoes with these storms. The cold front is pushed on through, and it should be through the entire area. It came through with a vengeance, in fact, and had quite some impressive cold air with that. We had some blowing dust with it, things like that. So continuing to watch. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey, and just providing some audio narration while Seth is in the storm tracker with storms working their way on through. We're focused now with Coles County and Shelley County as the storm moves out of Moultrie County here. Be curious to hear any reports from Sullivan. I did get a pair of golf ball size reports in the area. I think that was west of Sullivan. It seems like the hail core trying to come down a little bit, but still have the potential there. And we also may see a situation where that storm kind of pulses down. It could pulse back up here. There's instability aloft. That cold air at the surface is a stable layer of air, and that is keeping us from having any more significant issues with tornadoes. But that stable air still allows for elevated storms and hail potential, which is what we are dealing with there. So we're continuing to maneuver our way through here and monitor things. There's been the largest hail we've had so far has been ping pong ball and golf ball. We had reports from Fisher and from Vermilion County in the Danville area and north of Oakwood of hail that large. With a couple of those earlier storms, we're kind of entering into round number 2. And these storms are part of that here, just watching for those scattered storms to develop and continue to work their way on through the area. So we will keep an eye on that. And again, kind of on that digital stream here, there's really no other areas of concern at this point. But we'll have to watch. I kind of zoom out, and you can see where there's some storm activity still developing to the north and to the west. The thing to note, too, is that moisture, we're going to have rain Not concerned for tornadoes at all, given where that front is. That front has pushed its way past Effingham. In fact, temperatures across the air 40s and 50s. As the last check, I was checking in Danville, seeing that push its way through. So continuing to monitor that there. And we'll see if any of those storms back further to the west can pulse up and get hail. What could happen is we could still just have a lot of smaller hail. It seems like some of these storms have had a decent amount of small hail with them, and instead of getting how do I say this? Instead of getting a lot of big hail, you just get a lot of really small hail in there, and so that kind of limits the size. Hail forecasting, it's not perfect, but we have radar which can help scope the storm and tell us if we're seeing a lot of wet hail with cold water on the outside, or if it's just ice and there's no rain. But the dry air that we've got in the area is something that we'll be watching there. Go ahead and stand by real quick. I'm listening into Seth talk about something, and I'll be back here in about 60 seconds. Hey, Seth, you able to hear me? All right, if you want to just take this back over and have your main forecast pop up, I've been chatting a little bit, but then people can see you back in the studio. So if you're listening on the stream right now, we're going to turn it over to Seth and his forecast. You might see the screen go black for a few seconds, but that'll be something that's coming up here. So without further ado, if the screen goes black, Seth will appear momentarily. Otherwise, we'll keep you updated here, and he'll have his report, and then we'll keep you updated there. So Seth, I'll let you take it over.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Seth Volnoff.
All right, like I mentioned, we are tracking some storms here in the area as they continue this evening, kind of this second round that is starting to push its way on through. Starting to get a pretty nice light show as we look here north and west of Mattoon right now. Had some very frequent lightning there in the distance as this other storm has been moving on through. So keeping an eye in the sky out there in Mattoon as things start to move on through. Want to show you this here real quick. There's been just a few tweaks made to the severe thunderstorm watch area. The northern counties have been removed from it. I think we've added one or two down here to the south. So if you've gotten that notification recently, you are now part of that severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 11 p.m. tonight. Let's take a look here at our active storms, and we'll kind of zoom in on things here, and we'll show you where the current action is at. We've got these two storms down here to the south. That main one, kind of the more impressive looking of the two there for a while, the one that passed through Moultrie County, it just no longer looks like it's got the same composition to it. It's really starting to give out here. And that is very well a reason why we didn't see a whole lot of lightning there when I showed the camera at the top. It's just starting to dissipate. This does not look nearly as impressive as it is at one point in time. In fact, would not be too shocked if this warning does not last until its original deadline there here at 9:30. Still warned for 60-mile-an-hour gusts, still warned for some larger hail, but you can see that core has really started to dissipate here in the last little bit. Then we look off to the west here, the other storm that's starting to move into Shelby County. This one's still put together here pretty well. Maybe it's not quite as strong as what it was in one point either, but this one's a little more linear. You might have some more of those strong winds kind of pushing there across the area, and maybe some smaller hail, still up to quarter size, getting ready to push through parts of Shelbyville and even into the northern part of the county as well. Up there to Findlay will be possible. So that's what we're watching right now. There's some other storms here in the area that we are continuing to also keep tabs on, but they're all below severe limits right now. But this is that next round that will eventually kind of really congeal into a line and eventually bring some widespread rain to the area, which we are absolutely okay with that part as long as it keeps away from the severe activities. Also, what's changed since our last group of storms is the fact that we've got a much different air mass in place right now. Look at these temperatures. We've got 50s and 40s across much of the area. The only real places that still have that warmer, more moist air is down there in Effingham, maybe over there in Newton and Robinson as well. Still 70s for temperatures. That is very hard to believe that that's still the case. Dew points, though, moisture content, the higher the number, the more moisture. Even those have lowered quite a bit as well. But we're still seeing these elevated storms, which we will hear as we go throughout the rest of the night tonight. And that could be what produces some more storms that have some of that 1+ inch hail, maybe up to 2 inches as well, like we saw with that early storm down there in the south part of Macon County that ended up out there in Moultrie County. Here's just a rough look at future track here as we move forward in time. It's picking up on a few of these individual storms, maybe not placing them in the correct spot, but it's kind of giving you the idea of what should happen here through the night. We continue just to see a few of these pulses that may become dominant here at some points in time and eventually kind of rain themselves out or lose their energy. The thought is, though, as the night goes on, you continue to see things kind of congeal together, maybe form a bit more of a line, maybe not become quite as strong as what they were at one point in the night. And we will be watching for some severe threat with these, but it's just like right now, it'll be very brief. We don't think it's going to be on a very widespread scale, but certainly could hear lots of thunder here through the night tonight. And all of a sudden, have yourself being rattled awake there with that storm moving on through. Also, temperatures plummet tonight. We're heading down there into those 30s for low temperatures, maybe upper 20s there in a few places before the night is completely over with. Have one quick check of radar here, and I'll give you a brief look at your 7-day forecast. So let's zoom things out again. Looks like no major changes here with our warnings, and we've got meteorologist Jacob Dickey out there. You can see his icon on the screen. He'll be keeping an eye out for these storms here later on as well. All right, let's throw up that 7-day forecast here, and we will show you what we are seeing here for the weekend and into next week. Nothing too crazy, but it will be a lot cooler here this weekend, 40s and 50s, and it'll be a little bit before we get those 70s back. I will say this, Brandon, I am tired of having an 80-degree day turn into a 30-degree night. We've done that twice in the last 5 days now. It's
two
just
times too
crazy.
many.
Crazy. It is 2 times too many.
All right, Seth, thanks. We'll be right back.
Okay, folks, thanks for bearing with us. We were in our 9 o'clock newscast, which is always just a little strange with kind of keeping things up there on the stream. Did my best to keep that storm within eyesight for you there on the stream here, but we are back now. It is, we are done with that 9 o'clock newscast, and our 10 o'clock will be rather late tonight due to some games, so we will be here for a little while as these storms continue to have our attention. If you noticed throughout the stream, that northern storm really just kind of died off, fizzled out. It's this southwestern storm that is really kind of eating the instability, I guess we'll call it, just kind of dominating the environment around it. And that's why we are seeing that storm really become the dominant one here in all of this, as opposed to that first one, which had that impressive hail core that prompted us to hop on here in the first place. But again, that has kind of traded off, handed the baton off to that storm there to the west. So that is what's happening. Okay, let me see if I can bring myself back out here. There we go. So we're back to normal here. Hoping you all can hear me good again now that we are reset. Let's talk about where these storms are at right now. This kind of more blob-looking storm, it was once a little bit more of a linear one. Now it's kind of just having that, again, weird shape to it. But besides the point, parts of Windsor, Strasburg getting in on the action soon, Mattoon out there towards Paradise, and eventually Neoga going to get the brunt of this storm too. Nothing wild that we can't handle within this storm, but we are talking about, again, some severe caliber impacts once again. So that is what has prompted that warning to continue downstream. Got my Mattoon camera up here that was left over from when we were looking northwest at that Sullivan storm. Let's now move this to the southwest and see as they move on up this direction. So again, we're right here kind of close to the corner of Mattoon, or of Lakeland Boulevard and Charleston Avenue. We're now looking to the southwest. We've got a light show there in the background as well. We'll bring this full and let you take a look at that here for just a moment. Very electric storm out that direction that is really kind of lighting up the sky. And a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one also heading towards a pretty big population just outside of Springfield right now. So allow me to get things rearranged here to show the Springfield camera, and I'll get that tossed on here real quick as well. So there we go. It'll switch over here in just a moment. A second severe thunderstorm warning now just west of Springfield there. And we can see that camera really rattling around in the Capitol building there in the background with lots of lightning to go along with it as well. So 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in the area now. Let's hop on our radar picture, get a closer look at that newest warning that was just issued here a moment ago. So we'll head that way and see what's all is going on here in this storm. I've got another radar up here on the side. It says 1-inch hail, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. So not going to have to worry as much here with the wind threat with this one, but you can see things might start to get a little rowdy just there on the west side of Springfield right now with just quarter-size hail. Again, nothing too serious with this, but enough to prompt those warnings, and especially in a place like Springfield, very populated city here in our region that hasn't seen the storms here tonight. This is kind of your first go-round here with these on this second round. Throwing on lightning here onto this storm. Doesn't look like anything out of this world either, but it is something that has strengthened here a little bit in the last 30 minutes. We give it a little loop. You can see how that storm gets a little bigger and bigger as it moves to the east. Also adds some more of those lightning bolts as it moves to the east as well. So this one on the rise as well. The thought is with some of these evening storms now that we're deeper into the night, that they'll kind of have these pulses where they get pretty strong here for a moment and then maybe kind of use up all that energy and kind of rain themselves out here before too long. But this one holding up pretty good on the Shelby, Cumberland, and Coles County line. Again, that one moving right towards Neoga, Paradise, and Mattoon here right now, soon to cross I-57. And if we put this one in motion as well, all these storms have had the same kind of trajectory all night. It's moving mainly east, but just that ever so slight southward component. So a place like Mattoon, you probably will get in on some sort of action, although it does look to be rather brief. It's kind of those places, like I said, Paradise looks like it could get right there in the middle of that. Same with Neoga, might just catch the southern end of that storm. Again, just for that 1-inch hail here at the moment. Let's check back in with our Mattoon camera there. It'll start off on Springfield. We'll get it switched over to Mattoon and show what's happening out there. Still plenty of lightning and strong winds there on the Springfield camera. Now we're on the Mattoon one as we look off to the south and west. Not as frequent a lightning as what we saw just a moment ago, but this storm on its way that direction, we will probably get some activity here to pop up on the camera. There we go. Nice little cloud to ground lightning there in the background. So that is kind of what we're watching outside in parts of Coles County here as we speak. So let's hop back to radar picture here. I can start to hear some rain just even outside the studio here in Champaign, where we don't have any sort of severe storms, but we've got some storm activity up this way. These are kind of the things to watch. Maybe another little storm trying to strengthen east of Clinton over there in DeWitt County as well. So we'll kind of see what these sorts of storms do here as we move forward in time. But we do, of course, have those 2 warnings here in the area. Let's check back in with Springfield there, as things are probably starting to ramp up here in the next couple of minutes. So I'll punch that one here into the feed, bring that up, and we'll watch the light show there in Springfield. Again, this one not for the wind gusts. It is for the potential of 1-inch hail. And that's going to be the characteristics of these storms here through the rest of the evening, is that they are not really going to be completely strong all around, but they either have that wind gust component or they probably have that larger hail component upwards of 1 inch. So you're going to get yourself a nice storm there in Springfield, maybe have some quarters dropping down outside your doorstep as well. And that one going right through Springfield here. Again, this camera already pretty active, but it's going to really pick up here in the next minute or two. So we'll continue to watch this camera, also keeping a close eye on that storm that is out there now moving through Neoga. Looks like the main core actually has already kind of moved on through. You maybe have a little extra heavy rainfall in the back there, but the worst of that one might be over with already that way. Southern into Mattoon starting to get in on the action as well. So let's kind of just go back and forth with those cameras since we have good views there in both spots. Again, there's Springfield. Let's flip over quickly to Mattoon. Probably see action ramping up here before too long. We're kind of right here on the southern-ish end of town the way it is, so this should be exactly where that storm is about to move through. So should get a pretty good view of that one here before too terribly long. As always, if you're in the stream here, the second edition of the stream, just let us know where you're watching from. Let us know anything that you might be seeing here, wherever you may be. I know a lot of you probably aren't seeing things right now, but that's kind of been the case with these storms all day long, is that they are very isolated, scattered in nature, and only affecting a few places. But if you are tuned in right now, there's a reason you tuned in. You started to hear some of the storms move over your neck of the woods. All right, so let's take a look at that Cumberland and Coles County warning. Again, there's not too bad looking of a shape there to the front of that. It's probably got some strong winds there on the eastern edge as it pushes on through. Like I said, already kind of passed through the Neoga area there. Now really starting to make its way into Coles County, into Cumberland County. So we'll just kind of watch the county line as this one moves off to the east. This one really hasn't weakened too terribly much as it's has moved through here over the last half hour. Sometimes you see these storms like that northern one really kind of collapse as they advance here into the night. This one really hasn't changed its shape too much, maybe just very slowly weakened over the course of the last 30 minutes, but still providing some severe caliber impacts with that as it is now crossing over I-57, likely getting into far south into Mattoon. Probably not getting anything really there in town, but maybe out there towards Lakeland College, they're getting a pretty nice storm their way. So this one may just pass to the south, the worst of it, but you still look like you've got some of that heavier rain that is soon to move into the downtown area here before too long as well. As far as other storms in the area that aren't severe warned, of course, we've got that Springfield one. We'll check back in there in town in just a moment. A lot of this stuff doesn't look super impressive. Maybe this thing east of Clinton is worth watching here a little bit, but even it looks like it's maintained the same kind of strength here for a little bit of time and hasn't been severe warned here throughout its existence. So nothing too concerning there. Let's head back to Springfield. Let's check in on the Springfield camera. And that storm is probably rocking things in town right now. So we'll bring that full screen and let you watch that. Plenty of lightning, and I will do this. I can see the rain is coming down in sheets there on the street. It doesn't look like anything crazy here on the camera, but if you look down there in the bottom left corner of the screen on the roadways, you can see some pretty strong winds pushing that rain along, and we're going to zoom right on into that. And this camera is going to get awfully shaky here as we do so, but take a look there on the roads. That is some heavy rain pushing on through. And it's going to be pretty difficult to drive there all throughout Springfield here for the next handful of minutes. That is a storm moving right on through town there, and it is going to get rocking here for a little while. So that one about impacting Springfield about as directly as it possibly can. I'm going to pull up the radar again real quick. This is just kind of almost amusing to look at. It is a perfectly round storm, and its center is like right over the top of downtown Springfield. And just kind of a weird thing to look at on radar, but we zoom in on it. like I said, it's like a nice perfect circle, and Springfield's right in the middle of all of it. So the entire city getting on that action, no matter what part of town that you are on. And eventually this will continue to move east to maybe watch places like Rochester, eventually Buffalo, down 72 as we move on off to the east. So that's what's happening with that storm. Back here on this other one that is now passing through the south side of Mattoon, likely all the way through there into the southern part of the county, through Neoga now for the most part, out there towards Trilla, out there towards Lerna, some smaller communities out that way. Get ready. This storm about to kind of make things happen out that way. Might still continue to see some of that hail around a quarter in diameter, quarter size diameter, 1 inch diameter there. So that's what's happening with that storm crossing the interstate right now. Let's get another view in Mattoon. We'll punch that one up here again real quick. Again, just kind of keep an eye on both of these storms. These are the only two ones that have those warnings on them right now. So we are kind of going to keep an eye on those two as much as possible, especially with the cameras being right there in the middle of the action. So here we are again looking at the intersections of Charleston Avenue and Lakeland Boulevard in Mattoon. There we go. Nice, vibrant lightning strike there on the camera. So getting ready to feel the northern edge of this storm here in Mattoon. And it will continue down there across the southern parts of the area. Also, thunderstorm activity in general picking up in places like out there towards Ogden, St. Joe, Paxton, parts of Iroquois County as well. Anyone that might be seeing that storm activity, wondering why we haven't kind of been keeping things on you here for a little bit. There's no warnings up there on some of those other storms. You're probably just feeling some pretty standard springtime storm activity, just kind of some of that intermittent moderate to heavy rainfall. There's still some lightning here within some of these storms, but want to keep these folks in the know too. Nothing concerning really with your storms. They look a lot different than these storms down here. You're not seeing the same red colors. You're not seeing the same strength. Just organization with these storms doesn't look to be near as good. But this one in northern Piatt County, kind of holding itself together a little well. Not a whole lot of lightning there on that one. The duller the lightning strike, the longer ago it happened. So we're not really seeing fresh lightning strikes with this one. So that suggests that perhaps that one could come down a little bit in intensity here over the next couple of scans. This one across Coles and Cumberland County, though, it really hasn't dropped off in strength too much. Maybe it's kind of becoming a little bit more on the southern end of things there with that strongest core between Neoga out there and closer to Cottonwood here on the map. I'm not sure if Cottonwood's a township or not. I'm familiar with the direction down that way, but some of these names on here pop up as townships. But either way, east of Neoga there, east of 121, north of Toledo, north and west of Toledo. So yes, that's what's happening with that storm. This next storm in Springfield moving across the area as well. And let me see here. I've got a couple of different, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So yes, we do also have meteorologist Jacob Dickey out here. I now have his icon up. I kind of cleared that off earlier during the newscast and forgot to put it back on, but he is heading, looks like south right now. He is well south of Ashmore here. He is on his way to Casey to kind of be in position to intercept the storm as it moves that way. So that's where he is positioning right now. And I've got to get Jacob's shot pulled up here in one of the monitors behind me so I can keep track of him. Just a couple of moving parts here with the newscast ending not that long ago here with getting things back in shape. So I've got his view in the background right now. In fact, Jacob, it looks like you're looking towards that storm. How about we hand things over to you and you just kind of let us know what you're seeing out there, what direction you're facing, and yeah, just what's happening.
Yeah, hey Seth, I'm in the storm tracker right now, about a mile north of the I-70 exit at Casey, and I'm going to stop up here in the north side of town and watch this storm come on in. I kind of feel like I'm right in line for it here to come right through, if not just north of Casey. Based on what I'm saying, the hail core should stay north of Toledo and Greenup, at least the most intense part of that. But then it'll sneak its way in towards the Casey area. So we'll have a report here. It's not far away. I've been seeing plenty of lightning with that. The lightning has been fairly constant, almost. Every second there's a flash essentially. So we will see what happens. But you kind of see off to the side of the screen here. I'll get in position. I'll just turn the camera back forward, and you'll be able to see town. So there's the water tower in the center there. on the north side of Casey, where I'll be setting up. And yeah, I'll get set up, Seth, and be ready to intercept this. Maybe have to sneak back north a mile or two. I don't think the hail's big enough where it's going to cause any significant problems, but we still can have some quarter to ping pongs pretty easily, I think. And that's enough to still cause some issues out there. So we'll see if I move north or if I try and hide under a gas station awning or how things go here. But I'll have a report for you coming up in just a bit. In the Storm Tracker on the north side of Casey, I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Back to you.
All right, great, Jacob. Thank you very much. He is on his way to, again, intercept that storm that is out there closer to the the Coles and Cumberland County area. That's the one he's on. I do want to bring back the Springfield camera, though. This storm starting to get through town, now likely kind of affecting the eastern half of town. But you can still see this camera really shaking. The American flag there on the left side blowing pretty good in the wind. And there is some pretty heavy rain down there on the streets as well. So this storm making its way through Springfield, now soon to become kind of a Mechanicsburg, Dawson, Buffalo problem, Illiopolis, places like that to the east side of Sangamon County there. So that storm largely passed through most of downtown there. So that one no longer a concern immediately in the Springfield area as it has made its rounds through. Let's check back in here in the Mattoon area where things almost just look a little foggy with how heavy that rain is. Kind of a weird look to things here. Again, looking south and west of town as this storm is soon to kind of exit your domain here before too long. Then we'll have to, in fact, let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's pop up the Charleston cameras. It looks like they may now finally be getting in on the action as well. So we'll turn things over there. Again, just down Charleston Avenue here, really having to move too much north or south with this game review, but now well to the east into Charleston. Just a couple raindrops on the lens right now. Nothing actively happening there on the street, but still some lightning lighting up the picture there in the Charleston area. Okay, back to radar we go. We're going to look and see where the strongest parts of the storms are right now. Kind of dodging the main town areas here, wherever they may be, which is a good thing. But this core right here, north of Greenup, heading kind of right towards Casey. So Jacob's going to be in a great spot to intercept this thing once it moves on through and see what's happening within the middle of that storm. So a good location there to check in on that here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. There's that Springfield storm. Maybe not quite as put together as what it was at one point in time. It looked, again, really good over Springfield. Just can't believe still how it was right over the top of town, just about perfect circle there. But now moving off to the east, kind of mostly south of 72. But again, heading towards Mechanicsburg, potentially Mount Auburn down the line there. We'll see if they continue the warning on this storm. That one was never warned for anything more than just quarter-size hail. It didn't even have the minimum wind gust requirement there for the severe thunderstorm warning. But again, we'll see what that one, we'll see what the Weather Service decides to do with that one as it moves off to the east. Either way, be prepared for some impacts, whether it just be in the form of heavy rain and even some thunder and lightning. You can see the lightning strikes have stayed pretty consistent with that one as well. So it may continue to kind of kick around here and make some noise as it passes into parts of eastern Sangamon County and Christian County here before too long. More storm activity starting to pile on in up here in the central and northern part of the state. Out there around Macomb, Peoria, they're starting to get that line of storms that we're anticipating here later tonight to head our direction, and still some storm activity out in front of it, whether you be out there in the Bloomington-Normal area, getting a little bit of rain that way, out here on the west side of Champaign soon, northern parts of Piatt County, and a good chunk of Iroquois County getting in on some of this action as well. Maybe kind of round 3 for some of us over in Vermilion County, kind of the Hoopeston area, maybe Potomac again. We mentioned them a lot here tonight and out there towards Collison as well, but just staying north of Danville for the most part. All right, here is that Coles, Cumberland County storm. It's got warnings in both counties, but it looks like the stronger core of the storm is right there perfectly between Toledo and Janesville. Again, where you see these pink colors popping up on reflectivity, that is where you are getting the heaviest rain. That's where you're getting the kind of hail core. So that is moving directly east, eventually impacting a place like Casey here before too long. And we'll see what it does from that point onward. New scan on that one. Not too much has changed with it. So staying on track. That one got some good pace to it. Again, most of these have been moving at least 50 miles an hour tonight. I'll look at this one. This one's moving east at 60 miles an hour. So it's going about a mile per minute there, if the math adds up correctly with that one. So this one has good movement to it and will continue to scurry along off to the east. This storm east of Springfield no longer looking all that impressive. Maybe there's a tiny bit of hail in there, but I don't see anything that jumps out to require maybe an extension of a severe thunderstorm warning with that one. Again, ultimately what the Weather Service decides, but I don't think there's too much to worry about with that one. Or really very many other storms here in the area outside of that Coles, Cumberland County one. There's still this pesky one now about to enter into parts of Mahomet and Seymour here in western Champaign, eastern Piatt County. That one's kind of maintained its strength a little bit, but it's a very thin storm. So we'll see what that does. It'll probably move into parts of Champaign here before too long. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Otherwise, this is the storm to watch here. We're going to have a pretty good view of it here in just a few minutes. You can see the storm tracker. Meteorologist Jacob Dickey is in a good spot there just outside of KZ to receive that one when it comes on in. All right, let's take a look at your comments again, see if we have got anything new coming from you guys here. Wind picking up in Seymour, according to either Troy or Stacia Hoffman. They've got the double name Facebook account there. Let's see. Rating nice and good in Charleston, says Alex. Okay, new severe thunderstorm warning. This one is going to be a continuation of the Coles and Cumberland County storm. Pretty good downstream warning here with this one. This is going to include all of Clark County and just kind of the northern part of Crawford County as well. Again, all up and down this storm could have some severe impacts, but it's mainly this core right here that we'll have to watch as it moves to the south and east. This one, let's double check it. This one is also warned for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It's just penny-size hail. That's okay, penny-size hail with that one. I would have thought it would maybe be a little bigger than that. That encompasses most of the storm, maybe outside of this main core as well. Besides the point, still moving at 60 miles an hour. So what I'll do here real quick, I'll kind of grab that core of the storm, see the exact direction it's heading just like that, and we'll use one of our tools here. With how fast this thing is moving, there's not a ton of time to, I say, prepare ahead of the storm. Hopefully you're inside. It's 10 minutes until 10 o'clock here on a Thursday night. Hopefully you're inside, but let's drag this thing out and see where it's heading here over the next 25 minutes, and it might cover our picture here just a little bit. In fact, let me move that here towards the top screen a little bit. So here's some places downstream of that. It's 9:50 right now. So Casey, you've got about 5 minutes before the main core of that storm moves through. Martinsville, maybe about 10 minutes or so. And then eventually down the line, Anderson, that could be there in the next 15 to 20 minutes. If it holds up, Marshall would be in line for that about 20 to 25 minutes from now. So a very fast moving storm. It's only out here in the middle of Cumberland County still, but could be in Marshall in the next 25 minutes. So that shows you it's got some pretty good motion on it. Checking the lightning as well. It's got some pretty steady lightning. And in fact, there's a lightning strike right over the top of Jacob's logo there. I didn't notice anything crazy or hear anything crazy in the earpiece, but you've got a lightning bolt right over the top of you, Jacob. There may have been some lightning well out ahead of that storm. So I don't know if you were inches away from that one or not, but there was one about a tenth of a mile away from you. Okay. So, yep, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, I ended up relocating just to try and get the middle of that core of the storm there. I relocated to the south of the interstate, and that's just to give me a chance to maybe see things, the lights here and whatnot. So you can see I've got maybe a slightly better view of the ground, and as I switch cameras here, I'll be able to make out pretty quick if there's any hail. Just kind of peeking out to the side and things like that. So if something's falling, we'll be able to see it pretty quickly here, but nothing right now happening. But the lightning, you're right, it has been pretty intense. And I thought I got hearing aids, so I don't hear a whole lot, but if there is something, I'll let you know. So where we are, expecting this to roll overhead here in the next 2 to 3 minutes. And we'll likely want to come back and I'll holler if we start seeing anything. Live in the storm tracker on the north side. Jacob Dickey, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jacob. And fair enough about the hearing aid thing there. Maybe you didn't hear it. And like I said, I didn't see anything crazy on your screen back there, but that's what the radar showed, so that's what we're rolling with. Okay, back to radar we go here. I'll let it load on up. That's where our storm is. Again, getting ready to head on over into Clark County before too long on the eastern edge of Coles County and Cumberland County here at the moment. And to zoom out on everything, our Springfield storm has left its warning box, so it looks like that one will probably be able to expire here before too long. Another tiny storm just outside of Decatur. Like I said, Champaign, we may have something kind of rattling us here a little bit in the next 5 minutes or so. So keep an eye on those. But this storm, clearly the strongest one of them all here right now, as that is getting ready to move on into the Casey area. Also some other places that could be in line, Martinsville at some point in time. So we will watch out for that as it moves on through. Let's check back in on the Charleston camera. It's getting kind of just the northern edge of this storm. Probably nothing spectacular, but still something to look at. There we go. We got some nice rainfall there on the camera. Let's point that a little more towards the street. We'll be able to really see with the help of the lights kind of angle this rain's coming in at and kind of what it's like to be here in the middle of this one. So we'll drag that, go back to the intersection here, and kind of just watch traffic here at the stoplight as they navigate their way through this storm. Doesn't look like anything crazy. Like I said, the north side of that storm, so not getting the biggest impacts there from that one, but still getting some heavy rain that direction and bringing impacts of its own into Charleston. A lot of big towns and cities kind of taking the direct hit there from some of these storms. We've had Springfield take a direct hit. We had Mattoon kind of just on the northern edge, Charleston as well. And eventually could see a tiny little storm here moving right over the top of Champaign as we've got some nice lightning there illuminating the background in Charleston here as we approach the 10 o'clock hour on this Thursday evening. So that's what it looks like there. Let's head back to our radar picture and see the other parts of this storm. Kind of a perfect kind of comma shape here to the storm. And I know sometimes hearing that phrase makes you think of something else. It's just kind of got, again, a comma shape, just observing here with that. Nothing too significant happening within the storm, though, as far as any sort of rotation, stuff like that. We do have some strong winds, though. You see it's really starting to like bow out. It is really starting to perhaps gust forward here a little bit. So that is about to head right over the top of where Jacob's icon is here. Again, keep an eye on his picture back there. We'll let you know when things start to ramp up on his end of things. But there goes that storm. Other than that, there's just kind of a lot of these popcorn storms still in the area that aren't bringing crazy impacts to anyone just yet. I just heard Jacob say the wind is starting to pick up a little bit where he's at. I've got his picture here in the background. Pretty good lightning there with that one. All this other stuff, again, be prepared for this line up this direction out there closer to Macomb, Peoria, up there towards Pontiac that way. That line is eventually heading this direction. Looks like it's still got that almost strict west to east movement, but just a very small southern component to it. So gonna meander down this way. We'll see where exactly it positions itself. We would love if some of the drier places up here to the north were to tap into some of that rainfall, as long as we don't deal with anything as far as flash flood concerns go. Okay, back down to our storm as it heads on into Clark County. I'm going to just get rid of Jacob's icon there real quick, just so we can see right there where this core of the storm is, right over the top of Casey right now. So you're probably getting the biggest hail that is in that storm right there, and some very heavy rain within that as well. So hunker down in Casey just for a brief period of time. Look how thin the main core of the storm is. I'm just going to use this ruler tool. It's about 5 miles wide. That means you're not going to really have to hunker down for too long, but you are getting the direct center of that storm. Speaking of which, I had to remove Jacob's icon because he was right there on the strongest part of the storm, and it's starting to pick up a little bit on him right now. I'm going to throw it to his view. And Jacob, I can hear things picking up big time in my ear. First off, let us know which gas station it looks like you're at, what part of town, and what you're seeing.
Yeah, hey, I'm at the Mach 1 on the north side here, and the rain, I mean, there were some thick raindrops coming down first. That was the first thing that I saw and we were dealing with. Just heard my first little bit of hail there as well. So I'm going to turn to the side camera here, and we'll show you a little bit what's going on. There's the subway. Getting some of the sheets of rain coming on through, and just seeing some small hail at this location. You can see some of it kind of hitting the ground there a little bit now, but certainly some gusty winds coming with us too. I'm seeing those sheets of rain and seeing some of the trees in front of me blown around a little bit, but about to get hit by the strongest part of it here, probably any second. So we'll see if things pick on up. But I think you can see a little bit of that small hail that's on the ground there. Nothing that is crazy huge, but there's some little pieces in there. If anything, it seems like the rain really coming down and stuff. I think there's some places that love to have rain like what we're getting here right now. Real gully one. Free car wash for folks there. as that rain comes down. So they did drop it for penny-sized hail, and I would expect if there was any hail, it would be where we are based on the radar presentation. But we haven't gotten much at all. I think that wind threat might be picking up just a little bit more here. And, that's a little bit, I don't want to say surprising to me, but with the presentation of the storm kind of bowing out, that makes the most sense to me. You get this fairly intense little leading edge of it there. So good thunder shower with some small hail and some gusty winds coming on through here now. But so far we haven't had anything significant. And I will say this too, the lightning, Seth, seemed more impressive before the storm got to where we are. So I'll be curious to see if that continues or if there's any more evidence of that. But you can kind of see what we're looking at here again. Just kind of get a little bit of that rain. Got that view there in town, Seth, as we keep our eye on the storm here from the storm tracker. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you, Seth, and we'll probably just drive through town a little bit and check things out. But definitely getting a good downpour and maybe some spots getting some strong wind gusts as well. This storm has had a history of some wind damage, Seth, hasn't it?
Yep, absolutely right, Jacob. And thanks for bringing us inside that storm, because that's the best way to know what's happening here with all of this. Because, yeah, you see the presentation of stuff on radar, just kind of like what you were thinking. I am a little surprised that the hail isn't any bigger than what it is, but they knew exactly what they were doing when they warned that for penny-sized hail, like we mentioned, right there in the highest reflectivity part of that storm. But that may ultimately just kind of be more heavy rain than anything. Yeah, there's some of that small hail in there, but nothing that really jumps off the page. So that's right over the top of Casey right now, marching off to the east, eventually impacting parts of Martinsville. Some pretty strong winds it looked like in there, and that rain was coming in at a pretty good angle. So we'll see what happens with that storm down that direction. Also, here in the last couple of minutes, we're starting to get some storm activity here in Champaign. A little bit of lightning off to our west, nothing significant with that. Again, this is not severe stuff, but just kind of one part of the area that really hasn't been in on the action at all here today is Champaign. I know it may be a storm for just a brief period of time, maybe about an hour or so ago. I knew one of our TVs over here went out when that happened, but I'm going to bring you into Champaign here from our studio tower, actually. So right above us, looking off to the north and west, that'd be the stadium camera. That one's not right on top of us. Here's the studio camera, and it will show you that view looking out there, again, north and west towards town. We've got a little bit of nice rain here with that one, but not a very strong storm, but still some nice relaxing rain, some rumbles of thunder up this way, as we are now finally part of the storm activity as well. Okay, let's now, bring that radar picture back up. And just a lot of these same looking storms. That one heading into Clark County is still the most impressive one, but a lot of these storms just going to have that flat look to them. Yeah, it might be a little gusty. Yeah, there might be some tiny hail, but there's really nothing too terribly concerning there with a lot of those storms. But Weather Service continues to see enough to extend that warning on that southeastern storm. That one now crossing over into Indiana, so heading out into a different National Weather Service out that way. So there is a new warning heading into western Indiana, southwestern Indiana. Looks like that warning might clip the southern edge of Terre Haute, so the south side of town there. Kind of look like it's heading towards, let's see here, zoom in a little bit, out here towards Prairieton, Curry, out that direction. So any places like that, again, over there into Indiana. But this storm, they still see enough to continue that warning out there to the east very soon. Marshall will get in on this action. Martinsville also getting in on it, probably seeing the same sort of impacts that Jacob had when he was there in the storm tracker just a moment ago. So nothing too bad has changed with that. I will pop up the lightning here again with that one. We kind of alluded to that just a tiny bit. And for whatever reason, the lightning doesn't want to pop on. Either that or this storm doesn't have okay, they're all populating in here, I think, anyway. I mean, there's no way that there's just one lightning strike. And I think my stuff's behind a little bit, so I'll just give it a second to load here, because there's no way that's true. There's more lightning on it than just that. Let me switch over to this one. This one seems to well, there's still plenty of lightning in that. Not sure what's happening with the software here to make it seem like there's not, because I have evidence otherwise on another radar over here on my phone. So anywho, A lot of these other storms just kind of doing their thing here. I can hear the rain pitter-pattering on the roof here in Champaign. Looks like a nice little core is starting to move through right between here and the interstate exchange there where 57 meets 74. So some pretty good action up that way. Let's take a look right outside our door here in Champaign. Let's look out the Neal Street camera. And we'll let you observe that here for just a moment. This is probably what it looks like in a lot of places here that are getting any sort of storm activity, just some heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds, but nothing that we haven't handled before, nothing that is reaching that severe criteria. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like inside a lot of these storms. Very similar to what Jacob saw earlier too. This windy rain moving on through. Doesn't look like any sort of small hailstones here in this Neal Street camera view. But nonetheless, a thunderstorm right over the top of town, as has been the case here in a couple of other places in the area. Like I said earlier, with Springfield kind of taking a direct hit with the storm. Nothing too crazy there. Now Champaign starting to get in the middle of a storm. And another city here before too long that could be downstream of a storm is Decatur. So we're kind of hitting all the big the high populated areas here with some of these storms, which again isn't that big of a deal, but we've got just such small storms. The odds of them going right over the high population places are just a little strange. This one probably going to clip the south edge of Decatur there, not really bring too many impacts, but some thunder and lightning likely with that one, as well as some moderate to heavy rain. Getting some reports of some outages here in the area. It looks like Sean says power outs in a part of Champaign. Mindy says it's windy here in Champaign. I can attest to that. Lots of people just kind of commenting on the loudness here of these storms moving on through. One person mentioned perhaps, let's look at that power outage map here. Let's see if we're getting anything. Actually looks pretty quiet. There's a couple of places that have some outages. Shelby County, let me back up here. Shelby County has just 60 without power, so not very many that way. Vermilion still at 180, but a lot of those 500 plus power outage counties are now kind of just down to 100 or less. Sangamon County's at 134, so nothing too serious in the way of outages here at the moment. Again, these apps can kind of lag behind just a tiny bit because those reports aren't right there in real time, but still, a couple outages here in the area, nothing on a widespread scale, though, but we'll see how that changes because obviously with some storms moving through some high population areas, maybe there's enough to knock down a little bit of what's going on in some of these towns like Champaign, like Decatur here before too long, and maybe in a place like Marshall there as that storm races off to the east. That one's going to stay just a little bit to the south. That main core is going to stay a bit to the south of Marshall. But again, this one heading towards the Terre Haute area. There's a warning downstream to account for that. So we'll see what happens as that storm moves that direction. But a lot of us are going to see here through the night exactly what we see here on radar right now, minus that one storm down there to the southeast. It's going to be spotty in coverage before that line sweeps on through, that line that you can see up there by Peoria. Things might get a little gusty. We might see some small hail. I think the odds of anything becoming widespread severe are there, but they're rather low. Holy cow. It is pouring here outside the studio. Look at this. I mean, I think we're getting some hail right on top of our roof because I'm hearing some metal clanging. Yeah, there is definitely some hail right over the top of me right now. So that is something I can hear clear as day. Maybe you guys can even hear on the camera. I'm going to step over here where the noise is at, and you guys tell me if you can hear this. This is what it sounds like on the roof right now. Yeah, I don't see anything crazy on the Neal Street camera, but something's hitting the right metal part on the roof to where it's just banging like a drum up there. So yeah, we've got at least a small little bit. You know what? Let's do it. I've been dared to peek out the garage door. I'm going to do it here real quick. Hopefully you guys will hear me the whole time and I won't fly away in the wind, but I'm just going to peek outside real quick and give it my best guess. I'm going to be like you guys. I'm going to look out my door here and check on the storm. I wish I had a mobile camera to take with me, but you guys will just kind of hear everything. Here we go. Door opening in 3, 2, 1. Oh, man. It coming down in waves out there. That's pretty good. The hail, not very big at all. Just little tiny pea-sized stuff, but that rain's coming down at a pretty good clip. So maybe it's just heavy rain hitting the same part of the roof, but it kind of just sounded like someone whacking a trash can there with some little pebbles. So anyway, that's what's happening in Champaign. And this is what you could expect with some of these storms, again, that aren't even severe warned. This one just kind of an ordinary thunderstorm, but still probably really gusty right now here in town. Obviously it is. I just stepped outside myself. I can speak to that. Let's see. Let's go back to radar here. Let's look on top of Champaign here with the storm because it has grown a little bit. It's expanded a little bit. Still nothing too worrisome. But yeah, take a look at that. Here across the northern and eastern part of Champaign, in particular, out here, kind of closer to the 74 interchange there on the northeast side of Urbana is where some of that heavier rain might be falling that way. So there you go. It is coming down pretty good here in Champaign. And Jacob says he's got some dime-size hail. Was that in Champaign? Where was that? Oh, Snodgrass. Okay. Gotcha. So Snodgrass subdivision there. That's where some dime-size hail was reported. Not too surprising. We can zoom in and see some of the pink there. Maybe we got a tiny little bit of that here at the studio. I just didn't catch it in time, but it's clanging. It is clanging here on the roof. That is for sure. Another storm soon. You know what? I'm going to look at that Neal Street camera for as long as I can. This rain is not letting up here. And like I said, probably about 5 minutes ago, the storm is it's not very north-south tall, but it's quite long. So if you are right in the path of that, it's just going to kind of stay over the top of you and rain here for a little bit. It's hard to even see anything here on this Neal Street camera. It's, kind of useless here at this point. It's all smudged up here with the rain. Maybe I can switch it back to the studio camera. We can look outside here down on the street. There we go. I'm going to swing this and look at Neal and Green Street here. Gabby says pea-size hail over by Parkland College. So up there on the other end of town as well. I'll swing this camera all the way around. Got to do a complete 180 here to get to where I want. But now here we go. Now we're starting to look at the intersection of Neal and Green Street, and it is coming down, like I said, in sheets. Zooming on in here on the intersection, some cars making their way on through. Just look at that. It just looks like waves passing on through there. So good luck if you're out driving in Champaign. You're going to have to go slow here with that heavy rain and that strong wind. It is not letting up very much here, but it's just about outside of the Champaign area. But again, if you're seeing this, you're out there in St. Joe, Ogden area, this is exactly what you should expect. Intense rain, but short-lived here in nature. In fact, I think the noise outside the building has kind of calmed down here a little bit. Maybe we'll start to see things wind down here in just a short period of time. But yeah, there you go. The rain in Champaign is nice and windy. And just like that, I'm hardly hearing anything on the roof right now, despite still seeing plenty of that rain out there on the street. But look at that. It's so hard to see what's happening out there. Visibility really dropping here from our camera. So we are right in the thick of it here in Champaign. Might even just be, a little bit more of a hail core trying to develop here on this storm. We'll take you back to the radar picture. Just a little bit more pink showing up there. Let's take our radar picture and zoom on in. So there we go. Yeah, just kind of these little pink dots that are still present in the picture. Maybe getting up there, like we said, dime-size hail already reported. Maybe we're going to inch that up here just a tiny bit. Lots of people saying, yeah, definitely hailing in Champaign. Startled me because it's hit my windows pretty loudly, says Kelsey. Hail in Urbana, says Sarah. Mike wanted me to I don't know if that was me or Jacob, to zoom in on the price of the gas fuel pumps. That's always a fun game to play too. All right, let's see. Lots of reports here, lots of hail, lots of thunder, lots of lightning. Yeah, these storms are starting to become a little more, I don't know if widespread's the right word, but I guess, yeah, that's the right word. We're starting to see more of them here, despite the fact that they're really small storms. They're really starting to pop up in number here. There's one right over Macon right now, southern Macon County. I think Macon is where that big hailstorm started earlier that prompted the second live stream. So they're getting another storm right over the top of them. Cerro Gordo looks like you're also getting one on the northeast side between there and Beemont. A nice storm that way. So all these storms are the exact same. You probably got some pea to maybe penny-size hail. You've got a little bit of strong winds, but they're all just below that severe criteria to where we're not dropping warnings on them or anything. But you're still feeling a high-end thunderstorm impacts. Maybe 40, 50-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe, again, that sub-severe hail. But it's still coming down pretty good. All right, new warning has been issued. Let's zoom out. I wondered, yeah, this Champagne storm now has a warning on it. It's going to extend to the east, and it's going to head out there down 74 towards Danville. So this one now warned as this storm just grew right over the top of us. You heard it here for yourselves on my microphone on the roof. This storm just exploded. I talked about the fact that it was kind of just, yeah, it's there, it's not doing anything. And then boom, this thing is starting to produce some heavy rain right now. They've warned it for quarter-size hail. Did not put anything out there as far as strong winds are concerned. It was breezy, but I would have to agree it was probably not anything more than 45 miles an hour. So there we go. Downstream of this, St. Joe, Ogden, if you were watching, you know exactly what to expect here as the storm heads your way. Eventually, Fithian, Oakwood, and Danville could be in line again. Maybe some more hail heading out to Danville. We'll just have to see if this storm holds itself together very well or not. But at least for the moment, it's doing pretty good and marching off to the east. Let me pop up the stadium camera out there, and we'll take a look off across campus down into the east as that storm races that way. Maybe we can see some good lightning on that. Kind of a fuzzy looking picture here. A little bit too rainy to see much that's going on in the distance. But either way, we saw that storm as it moved on through. It is going to pack another little bit of a punch moving out to the east. Kenyon says grape-sized hail in Urbana. You know what? I don't hear people say grape-sized hail that often, but I'm not sure why. That gives me a pretty good idea of what exactly the hail size is. So that's a very unique one, but one that does the trick. You know exactly what the size of a grape looks like. Okay. Let me see here. Just checking some other messages here on some of our apps on our other computers. Let's see. No further comments about what else happening here in the area from the Weather Service side of things. Just continuing to update these warnings as they are required. Let's take a little look here across the area, see if there's any other storms that are starting to catch our attention, maybe leading to additional warnings here at some point in time. Maybe this one, east of Cerro Gordo, heading to Beemans. Again, very similar to how that Champagne storm looked originally. It was very thin, but it started to grow. It's got that pink core there on the reflectivity, so maybe some hail starting to form together on that one as it marches off to the east, maybe eventually impacting the southern half of Champaign County this time and other towards Crawford County. So we will be observant with how that one goes. Bloomington Normal getting some more storm activity out your way, or at least very soon, as this line will start to push on through. A lot of these storms are going to congeal. And you're going to see a lot of the same here. You're going to see gusts 50, 60 miles an hour, hail close to that quarter-inch range. It's going to become a lot of the same once things start to line out. But these individual storms still have the ability to hold things together, bring some higher impacts for a brief period of time. Higher, relatively speaking. Not really seeing high impacts here with any of these storms. But that one out there in Clark County now about to cross over into Indiana out there towards the Terre Haute area. So that will soon be an issue for that direction. Decatur, probably getting some rain on the south end of town. Probably nothing too spectacular to see on our camera that way. Okay, got some more reports here. Power outs, Duncan and Kirby corridor, according to Brenda. Hopefully that is not a long-lived issue. That storm was pretty rowdy when it moved on through, though. But now that it's already out of Champaign, hopefully we can get some of that power back on here without having to deal with it for too terribly long. Okay. So, yeah, out there towards St. Joe right now, Ogden area. That hail core looks okay. Let's jump in here on our hail size thing. Let's see what it's saying. So nothing too crazy, but you can see that swath started just kind of east of town there. So maybe it's trending up here just a little bit. And we'll see if we get some brighter colors with that one as it marches down 74. Anyone on 74 heading either direction, rude greeting here with this storm. That rain was intense. Probably some people that really have to slow things down. Maybe even can't really see down the line. So if you've got anyone that might be out and about here tonight, hopefully no need to be out on the interstate here close to 10 o'clock on this Thursday night. But if so, there's a storm that is going to move right over the top of the interstate. It's just going to keep doing so. You get a lot of these storms just moving directly east, and that could put a place like, again, Danville in line, Oakwood in line again for yet another storm. You know, who knows what the core of this thing's going to look like when it moves your direction, but that would be your second storm that could provide some hail to parts of town there. So we'll see what happens. Again, can't tell exactly what it's going to do, but it's not weakening right now. It is still kind of trending up a little bit right over the top of St. Joe. Anybody in St. Joe out there? Anybody in St. Joe starting to get some heavy rain, some hail, probably some thunder and lightning too? Let us know if you're out that way. Would love to hear what you're seeing with that storm, as it looks like it's gotten a little more intense since it left us, and it was already pretty intense here anyway. Okay, let's see if there's any more reports out here. Northeast Urbana, 2 miles in northeastern. Oh, okay. And then Jacob sent a picture here too. So we got nickel to quarter size hail just northeast of Urbana. Got another one here that says 1 inch hail. So that'd be quarter size hail as well. Also in the northeast side of Urbana. So there you go. That's exactly what's prompted this warning. When you have quarter size hail, you've got yourself a storm that reaches that severe storm criteria. Again, St. Joe. Starting to feel it right now. Not a whole lot of lightning on the storm. Just that one strike recently here within the last couple of minutes. All the other ones were a little older. Again, I think my stuff is good here now, because even on my other radar product over here, this storm doesn't have a whole lot of lightning associated with it. So that does make me think this storm is going to perhaps weaken a little bit as it moves off to the east. That's usually a good indicator of how strong a storm is. If there's a good frequency of lightning in it. That one, not impressive as far as that goes. But like I said, that hail core, it's not exactly collapsing here just yet. So that's why I say just keep an eye on things if you're in Danville. They're not necessarily going to be that big hail moving through again. But be on the lookout for it regardless. Let's do some more moving around here. Some other storms. Macon County getting some of that storm activity, some heavy rain. Dalton City soon in line of that stuff as well. Mount Zion getting some storm activity that way. Beemint right there, kind of mainly on the south end of town. You're getting in on some of the action. Maybe towards Ivesdale, getting in with that storm here before too long. A lot of these storms are providing the exact same kinds of impacts here. Bloomington Normal probably getting a pretty good storm moving through right now. In fact, that one looks a little better than what it did earlier for sure. It's got some lightning packed in on it as well. While we can, let's go ahead and look at our Bloomington camera. That one I can't move, but I should still get a pretty good view of what's going on. So let's pop that up here and see what there is to see. There you go. So nothing crazy on that one. Doesn't look like the most intense part of the storm has moved through where this camera is just yet, but we'll get a pretty good view about it here as it is marching right through the Bloomington Normal area. Go. Ricardo here asking about Peoria. That is just outside our coverage area, but there's a storm right over there right now. I'm just going to take a peek at it just to see what's happening up that direction, because it's probably got a pretty good view out there as well. So there we are looking across the river there towards Peoria. Look at that. Some well-timed lightning as well. So yeah, you've got your storm right over the top of you right now as well. That's where that main line of storms is that will look to sweep down this direction here as the night goes on. So that's what's happening there. We've got some nice Peoria cameras here. Let's see if we can get another look at one. Again, just outside our area, but it's nice to be able to look inside some of these storms. This one's a very nice view, especially in the nighttime with some rain. Just kind of a nice view of the city there. And yes, some thunderstorm activity taking place, kind of seeing the clouds there, those lower clouds getting lit up there by the city lights. So again, cool view there with that storm moving on through along that main line that is going to head this direction here before too long, kind of ramp up things as far as widespread storm coverage goes. But again, here's a severe thunderstorm warning just south and east of Macomb. So we'll have to watch out for cores like this once this line moves on in. They could impact parts of our area here at some point. The thought is that things really won't get too rowdy here through the night, but you're going to have a couple of storms that maybe do knock on the door of that severe criteria for moments at a time. Okay, let's check. Any extra reports here? Okay, heavy hail and lightning in St. Joe, says Abby. Okay, very good. So we do have a couple people watching out that way. Becky says, how about Westville? We were issued a warning. This is a pretty big warning. It looks like it, well, your town name just disappeared here on me there. Right there in Westville, it looks like this might go just a tiny bit, but it's hard to tell. It does have a little bit of that southern movement. We'll have a better idea here in just a moment, but just be prepared for some sort of impacts here with this, even if it's not right there in the middle of it. Heading right there towards, I think Danville's going to get a pretty good look at this storm yet again. Another one here tonight heading right that direction. It's crazy. Like Danville looks like they're going to get hit almost directly by a not very big storm. Champaign got it. Mattoon got the edge of one earlier. Springfield took a direct hit. So just kind of crazy. These storms that aren't that big just finding their way towards populated areas and doing their thing. Greg says hail in St. Joe, heavy and lots of it. Okay. Just looking out the window, is this kind of some small hail? Is it lots of small hail? Are you getting some big stones? Obviously, don't step outside right now if it's storm, but just kind of curious when I see heavy hail. That makes me think kind of almost looking like snow covering the ground, but I might be wrong on that with the interpretation. But either way, yeah, that hail core is riding I-74, like right over the top of it. It is following it as if it is a line that it is told to follow. And it's like tightrope walking. It's just wild how much it's clung to the interstate there since it left Champaign. Okay, let's have a little reset here. It is 10:23 on this Thursday evening. Here's a look at the radar across all of central Illinois, all the parts that we cover. Just very spotty storm activity, but it's pesky is what it is. It's got this slightly sub-severe hail. It's got this slightly sub-severe wind gust, but it's somewhat impactful, especially this time of the night when people are kind of, settling down for the evening. It's just getting a little rumbly out there. Abby, who was over there in, was it Ogden? Is that where you said? In St. Joe, sorry. Abby over there in St. Joe said it was pea-size coming down in large amounts. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of just almost makes the ground look a little bit like snow there with some of those hailstorms that just kind of include a lot of those tiny little kind of pea-sized ones. So that's what's happening with that storm. Let's check back in on Bloomington. Take a look at that. They're getting a storm right over the top of them. So let's drop ourselves into the Bloomington camera again. We'll switch off this Peoria one here. Still nothing crazy on that one. We do have a camera in normal. Let me check that one. I think this one either got some dust on the lens at one point. I don't think it was a very... Yeah, now it's got some raindrops on it. You can't really make out much on that one. That's why I didn't show that one earlier. Just a little, I don't know, just not a very good view there right now. Hopefully there's a little bit of rain that kind of cleans that lens up a little bit because I think there was just some dust on it from earlier today or something along that line. But anywho, Bloomington, here we come again. I'm not seeing anything wild here on this camera, but it looks like a good part of town there is getting in on some thunderstorm activity, some heavy rain, maybe some gusty conditions there as well. So that is what is happening in Bloomington. And some nice lighting there in the background. Finally, something cool to look at there on that camera. Back to radar we go. I feel like this is kind of just a repeating show of just kind of back and forth, cameras, radar and stuff. But it's neat to be able to see all this stuff and see what it's doing here. That severe thunderstorm warning that's still there in Clark County, it is well out of the county now, so that warning will probably be dropped here before too long. This one heading right for the Danville area, though. That is what we're watching. It's out there in Fithian right now, heading towards Oakwood. Still kind of got that pure eastern motion to it. So Danville, you do look to be in line here for another storm within the next 15 minutes or so. So we'll get your camera ready to go as you will have more to look at here. Hopefully not anything comparable to what you saw earlier. You had some golf ball size hail that way. So I'll get your camera ready to go that way. Got a handful of people asking about Decatur too. Let's head over there. Freeze our radar up here. Decatur, it looks like something moved south of town there. Maybe kind of grazed you a little bit, but that now looks like it's heading off to the east. Maybe a tiny little something trying to form north of you there, but it doesn't look like anything too big impacted the area. Maybe just some moderate rain there for a quick period of time. Southern Champaign County now starting to see action just south of Ivesdale, right there on the county line, heading towards Pasodum. Right there in Pasodum is where that storm is heading. So this one's going to stay well south of the Champaign area here. But like I said, right there on the county line is where you'll start to see the impacts with that one. A lot of these, again, these storms that just aren't quite on that strong side of things yet, but they're just kind of teetering on that edge. So we'll pay attention to it. We'll keep you informed here. But it's going to be a lot of scurrying across the area here on our radar, looking at these storms as they move on through, because they're just very, very quickly passing, very short-lived storms, most of these. But on occasions where you get something like this one heading into Vermilion County, right over the top of Fithian right now, right over the top of or on the east side of Ogden, heading into Oakwood. Again, just minutes away out there in Oakwood. You got yourself just a tiny bit of time if you are on the west side of Danville. But here it comes, and we will be able to watch it as it moves on through. Let's pop up that Danville camera. See what we can see out that direction. So again, we're prepared. We're ready for it to roll on through. But not there just yet. Maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Just checking some other stuff here on the side. Do we have any more reports? I've got a couple people asking here some stuff too, just asking about their particular town in the area. I will show you guys a future track here in just a moment. That'll kind of give you a general idea of what's happening here through the evening. Not going to necessarily pinpoint every single town. Of course, that'd be a pretty tall task to handle, but we'll kind of give you the general idea of what to expect here. Just a little notes from the Storm Prediction Center. They're kind of just drawing a little zone, monitoring these storms. Here is their latest note. Isolated strong to occasionally severe thunderstorms may persist beyond the scheduled 11 p.m. expiration of the severe thunderstorm watch, and a local watch extension may be needed based on near-term radar trends. So essentially, the storms are a little stronger right now than what they maybe thought hours ago when they had this watch issued until 11 p.m. Let's show you that watch. I don't think I've done that here yet. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's display where the severe thunderstorm watch is. So there's our radar picture with all the storms. Now we'll plot the watch right over the top. So there you go. All those pink counties are where that severe thunderstorm watch is right now. The thought is, with a couple of these storms lingering, there's going to be a couple of counties that see this extended beyond 11 p.m. To be quite honest, I'm not 100% sure which ones they will decide to include in that, because the strongest storm activity is kind of out this direction, but that line of storms is sort of up this direction. So it's very possible they do include a lot of these places in here, but ultimately time will tell on that. So that watch that was originally set to expire at 11 p.m. now may continue beyond that here on a local scale. So we are going to see what they decide. Don't really have a timeline on that. Obviously, the closer to 11 we get, the closer we get to some sort of decision like that. So I will say that much. That's my opinion there about that. Okay, we've got a question here. Is the tornado threat done for the night for the Springfield area? I can speak to the entire area here when I say there will not be a tornado threat here for the remainder of the night because the environment has changed so much. Here's a look at your temperatures. For tornadic storms, you need to have 60, 70-degree weather. You need to have those dew points up that direction as well. It's too cool out there for right now. Cooler air is a lot more stable in nature, and it's too difficult to overcome stuff like this. So that cold front has passed almost fully through the area. It's down to 56 in Effingham now. There's not going to be tornadoes with these storms. It is going to take a very impressive effort for something like that to happen, which is why we are downplaying that threat big time. Not going to happen here tonight with all that stable air. Like I said, the dew points matter as well. You need moisture near the surface, so that way the storm can be close to the surface. And you normally need that dew point to say something like 60 as opposed to 40 something like we're seeing here across much of the area. So there's your answer to that. Not worried about any sort of tornado threat here through the night, but I will bring up the future track here again. I've been kind of debating which one of these to show you guys through the night. Not a lot of these have been doing a particularly good job here in the last couple of hours. This one doesn't look too bad. It's got the general idea of that line up there near Peoria right now. So let's roll with it. Let's see what it says. To answer anyone's question where they're asking what's going to be like in this town, what's going to be like in this town, there's going to be scattered storms here through the night. It's going to become a lot more linear in nature. And you're also going to see some of these pockets. You can kind of see some of those red and orange bands here and there. That might be where some stronger, pockets, cores want to be at. So that's why we're kind of keeping that strong storm threat, that low end severe threat possible here through the night. But it just doesn't scream to me as a area wide, big time, 4 or 5 warnings at a time concern. Hopefully just some nice steady rain and some relaxing thunder and lightning. That's what that future track shows. I'll show you a different one here. This one updates pretty often as well. We'll see it. That one a bit early. It's not bad, but it's a bit early with everything that's happening. I can actually adjust. If I don't like where it's at the timing of it, I can actually tell it to delay itself by an hour. That's what's nice with some of these models, is that if it's kind of giving you the right idea, you can say, I'll take it, but I need you to do this a little bit different. So I'm going to slow this down by about an hour or so. So I'm moving the storms and not moving the clock here. That's always kind of cool to be able to do. So here we go. Now it's kind of more to my liking. So let's play it forward here. Again, just kind of this cluster of storms here over the next couple of hours. Moderate to heavy rain, maybe some localized flash flooding, but hail, I just don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Maybe you get up to another storm tonight that gets close to ping pong golf ball size. I don't foresee it being too much more than that, maybe up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts. But the key word in all this is maybe. There's just not going to be a whole lot of certainty here with these. There's not going to be a whole lot of ability to predict where exactly you're going to see an individual stronger storm or two, just like how it is right now. Future Track was hinting on some of these types of storms earlier in the evening. Where exactly they ended up, here's where they are, over Lovington right now, over Pasodum right now. But that's going to be a chance for everyone here in the area. Okay, I have talked quite a bit here about some of those other storms. That one storm is about to enter Danville, and it doesn't look as good as it did at one point. And I'll show you what exactly I mean by that. You see kind of the pink colors in the core of that storm. There's just not as much real estate covered by that pink. So that hail core has come down quite a bit. But lightning, not a whole lot of that either. So that's exactly what we were saying earlier. There wasn't a whole lot of lightning on the storm. We said it maybe was going to weaken a little bit. And that's going to be the case. You might sort of have a lightning-free storm here entering Danville, which is a weird concept to grasp. But let's look at our Danville camera facing off to the west. And of course, right as I say that, we get a lightning strike in the background. So obviously, there's still some lightning packed into this storm. Radar maybe just a little bit behind on that lightning detection. Either that or those are going to be the only 2 bolts that we see here in the next 5 minutes. I don't know what to believe or what to trust here. But yeah, looking pretty good as far as this storm goes with the weakening process. So yeah, that is the state of affairs here in Danville looking to the west. Okay, so looking at some of your comments, I see Avery here asking about a camera up there near Havana. I do not have one up that way. You have a couple of cameras kind of that direction. Let me see here. Again, I don't have anything that's going to show exactly what you want to see, but maybe I got something close. We've got Galesburg cameras. We've got Peoria ones, so nothing right there in your area. But we're keeping an eye on things up your way as well, so no worries there. I know we got a handful of people that are just outside of our area that maybe sometimes tune into this stuff a little bit. No camera up that way, but we've seen the inside of a lot of these storms tonight. They kind of all look the same. Nothing too particularly different with one storm compared to another. So again, just kind of a lot of these places. I see Havana right there. So you've got a little storm heading your direction. Maybe some heavy rain, obviously some heavy rain, maybe some strong winds. Kind of watch out for little pink pockets like that, maybe some hail in there. But that's the situation up there. Eventually it will become the situation down here, but that is not the case just yet. Up here, Gibson City area might have another storm moving on through here before too long as well. There we go. There's that line moving on in. That might be where some windier storms are at. You can kind of see the shape of that, suggesting that here a little bit. Here we go. Knocking on the door of Danville. Okay. Been saying that a lot here, haven't I? Okay. Got some more spotty storms. Again, that one over Pasodum, maybe a little rain in Sascola. Lovington, maybe a little something there with perhaps some small hail. You see a little bit of pink in there. That storm may be pulsing up just a tiny bit. So Lovington, Arthur, Arcola out that direction here at some point in time as well. So there's another storm on the way. Again, these storms are all just the exact same. It's crazy how much these all are kind of behaving the same, shaped the same, bringing the same impact. So we look inside of one storm. We're looking inside pretty much all the storms here in the area. And yeah, you will see a lot of, guess what, the same here through the night. Let's jump back into Danville. Let's take a look at this storm. Annabelle says hail in Oakwood. So we got some hail reported in Oakwood, and we're probably going to have some maybe small hail reported here in Danville before too terribly long as this storm is moving on through. 10:38 on this Thursday evening. Maybe a couple of you wondering, I haven't seen anybody ask, but I'll let you know anyway. Kind of odd that I've been able to do this here through the 10 o'clock hour. We normally have a 10 o'clock newscast, but as you're well aware, March Madness Sweet 16 basketball is on CBS right now. Fun time of year. Lots of people enjoy it, especially when Illinois is in it. But we've got a game over on CBS that is not supposed. Yeah, Jacob requests a score update. Of course, if you're watching this, you're not. Oh, wow. Illinois is up 44-26 and has scored 17 straight points. Wow. I've been keeping an eye on the score. I didn't want to say anything just yet, but 17 points in a row. That's hard to do at this level. So there you go. Hopefully things shape up that way. Illinois has let some. Yeah, no kidding, Jacob. Illinois has let some leads go here this year. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just saying stay the course here, finish this game strong, and change that narrative. We would love to see it here. But yeah, I won't lie. I've got one eye kind of occasionally looking over there. I have no clue what the flow of the game has been, but obviously things are going okay right now. So that's what I'll leave it at. It's looking okay that way. Okay, lightning lighting things up in Danville as that storm is approaching the west side. Again, I'm looking at radar here on another computer. This storm does not look as good as it did one point in time. It's still going to rain pretty heavy there in Danville, but it's not going to drop the golf ball size hail you saw earlier. It's going to be some pretty standard baseline stuff, 40, 50 mile an hour gusts possible, maybe some pea-size hail. But that is pretty much all to expect here with that storm moving right over Danville here before too long. We're probably just 60 seconds away from things really ramping up here on this camera. The radar shows it's right over the top of town there, but there we go. Some nice big booming lightning. I say booming lightning. Nice bright lightning, probably some booming thunder. Don't have audio on these cameras. That'd be pretty cool, but it'd also be a little inconvenient at times just because it'd be a lot of, you know exactly how that would sound like. So there's my storm impression on a camera microphone. I think it's pretty spot on. Okay. Radar again. Taking a scan across the area. Once that storm moves through Danville, in fact, once it moves through that warning polygon, there's probably not going to be a severe storm in the area here in just a couple of minutes. So when that happens, I will probably just kind of let things sit here, scan on radar. I'll still be watching stuff here in the studio for sure. But yeah, Jacob's saying that's a pretty good excuse to go watch the Illinois game. That's partially true, but there's no threat here in the area, just like we would in any other situation. I'm not gonna run away from you guys if there's some, but there's nothing that really worries us here right now. I know Jacob's pulling my leg here. He's making me feel the guilt. But no, I mean, there's some prep we have to do still here for a 10 o'clock newscast, and there just so happens to be an Illinois game on. But also, wouldn't even think about that here if there were to be no warnings in the area. But we've been through stuff like this before. It's late March. It's about to be April here soon. We get storms like this pretty often, the caliber of storms that are here in the area right now. So we've been through it before. We'll continue to make sure that there's no what's the phrase I'm looking for here? I want to say silly business, but that's not like a phrase. Funny business. Goodness sake. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Funny business. All right, let's look at Danville again. this storm might kind of collapse before it really gets into Danville. I've been anticipating this thing arriving in Danville for the last 10 minutes, and it kind of looks like it's hitting a wall with the rain here, at least. There's some good lightning on the camera, at least. Brianna does say it is pouring in Danville at the moment, so you might be out there on the west side of town. Sounding pretty brutal outside. Okay, so maybe I'm downplaying this thing a little bit. This camera must not be right there in the middle of that storm just yet, but it looks like stuff is over the top of the city there, so maybe we'll see things pick up here in just a moment, but we've got your eyes and ears that are telling us that it is certainly doing its thing in Danville right now. Okay. Let's see here. Kay says North Danville is very loud right now. Very loud. Probably with that heavy rain pushing on through. Again, hopefully this is just kind of the stuff that we see throughout the remainder of the night. If that is the case, we are in good shape here. And hopefully we'll not have to worry about too much as long as we can just get this nice, steady rain. That's the thing I'm sort of excited for, is that there is going to be plenty of opportunity to get some beneficial rainfall here with this stuff. I mean, we need it bad. I'm going to pop up the drought monitor here real quick. Kind of a weird thing to pop up in the middle of storm coverage, but I just want to do this real quick. Look at it right there. Northern Champaign, Ford County, parts of McLean County, Iroquois County. They've got that red bullseye still. Extreme drought. If you remember, there was extreme droughts all the way down and even into Coles County, I believe, at one point in time. They have really recovered due to all these recent rains. Problem is, it only happened down there. Didn't really happen up here to the north. We need the rain so bad still in Champaign County, in Ford County. That is where it is desperately needed. And it kind of looks like that's where it might end up here for us tonight. Here's a look at that radar. And again, that line pushing into the area, it's starting to head right there for those places. So we want that red bullseye to get filled with rain. We want all the rain that comes with that. Again, we don't want anything crazy where we're going to see, flooding happening. But, hey, we will take what we can get. We do not want to be in an extreme drought. We want to get out of that. Okay, zooming on out here across the area, we've got more storms starting. That line that's up there in the northwest part of the area is starting to push in just a little bit, maybe some stuff out ahead of it. Right there at the Lincoln radar, we're getting a pretty good close to the ground. Close to the ground view there of that radar picture, moving right on through. Maybe Decatur is starting to get a little bit of a storm now too. That one kind of did just materialize very suddenly there around the Forsyth Argenta area. Not really much lightning right outside of Decatur, but we've got some of that heading all the way up here to the north, up there even into DeWitt County. But just lots of these little popcorn storms. And as we can see, that storm in Danville has dropped its warning. So we are warning free here in the area, which is nice. Not going to promise that's going to stay that way, but it is going to kind of just be intermittent like this. There's going to be some pulses up and down between, stuff that's right there on the severe limits and perhaps getting up there occasionally at times. So we'll continue to watch out for that. But right now we are warning free and we are enjoying that. We'll just take whatever rain we can get here. And, no complaints whatsoever on that front here. Jacob, do I still have you in my ear? I've got no image on your end of things. Not that I need you. I'm just curious if you're still around. I hear some very occasional audio. There we go. Still there, Jacob? I can now, yep. Yes, can you hear me?
It's probably my final report for the night, Seth, and if needed, I'll kind of hang out, but I think we're going to scrape things on through, so I'll send it back to you.
Cool. Yep, just want to check and see if you were still kind of kicking around there. Yeah, same thought here with these warnings now gone. There's just not a high level of concern. Wanted to stay on here as long as those warnings were around, and I'll still kind of keep the stream up and moving. If I see anything that jumps off the page to me, I will certainly come back and notify you guys. But there's a lot of repetition here in what we're saying, because all these storms are kind of the same. Again, it's 40, 50 mile an hour gusts. It's hail close to quarter size, not quite. Place like Arcola might start to see this storm head through here at some point in time. Maybe some more heading towards Champaign County, right towards Champaign. We might get a storm here before too long. Gibson City's getting some heavy rain here before too long up that way. So just kind of a hodgepodge of storm activity here with this line that is moving on through, and a literal line in the case of looking up here in the northwest part of the state. But in fact, no warnings here all across the state of Illinois. So yeah, things have really calmed down. Hopefully just some nice steady rain moving on in here before too long. All right, so with that said, I'm going to keep this stream on. I'm probably just going to keep it on radar just like this. But I'm going to take just a short break here. The second stream has given us an extra close to 2 hours worth of coverage here as well. So we appreciate you hanging around here tonight with our coverage. But we're just going to take a little bit of a break here while there's no severe storms in the area, or no severe warnings in the area. So we'll keep an eye on the chat. We'll keep an eye on everything else. But I'm going to go silent here for just a little bit as these storms hopefully continue to behave themselves.